Press your hand against your belly right now. Does it feel soft and squishy, or more like a taut basketball pressed under the skin? If it's the latter, listen carefully. This is not just cosmetic. A firm, hard belly often signals visceral fat wrapped around your organs, a pattern that becomes far more common after 45 as estrogen shifts where the body stores energy. I call this plan the 30-day hormone reset, my step-by-step framework, and it's built to be practical, measurable, and safe, designed to change the internal environment that forces fat to move into your abdomen. Before we go further, if this is speaking to you, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the checklist I'll mention at the end. Here's what's happening under the surface, in plain terms. For years, estrogen helped pack energy toward hips and thighs. As estrogen falls in perimenopause and beyond, the body favors the abdomen. At the same time, the liver can become a little overfull. Think of it like a suitcase stuffed beyond capacity. When the liver's short-term storage, glycogen, and fat handling are overloaded, excess calories are diverted inward. Insulin signaling becomes less efficient, and over time, that encourages fat to be stored deep around organs, visceral fat. Picture a basketball under the skin rather than soft padding. That's the difference between visceral and subcutaneous fat. This matters because visceral fat is metabolically active and linked to fatty liver and insulin resistance, not to scare you, but to motivate a targeted approach. The core of this 30-day reset adapts 3 evidence-informed moves into a weekly progressive program. Stop feeding the liver with liquid carbs. Practice Zone 2 cardio that actually helps fat burning without spiking stress hormones. And extend sensible meal spacing so your liver gets emptied and starts drawing on stored fat. Over 4 weeks, you'll build habits that often show an internal shift by about 2 weeks and clearer metabolic changes by 30 days. I won't promise exact inches lost or guaranteed outcomes. People respond differently, but many clients report the belly feeling softer around 2 weeks and measurable improvements over the month. Week 1 is about removal and habit setup. Eliminate liquid carbs, no juice, soda, sugary coffee drinks, sweet cocktails, or processed sports drinks. Water, sparkling water, black coffee, and plain tea are fine. Start spacing meals deliberately. Aim for at least a 12-hour overnight fasting window to begin. This could mean finishing dinner by 7 p.m. and having your first meal at 7 a.m. or later. Begin gentle Zone 2 activity, brisk walking or cycling where you can carry a conversation, 20 to 30 minutes on 3 days this week. Focus on protein at meals and add fiber-rich vegetables to stabilize hunger. Week 2 is consolidation and measurement. Push your eating window gradually toward 14 hours overnight if that feels manageable. For example, finish dinner by 7 p.m. and delay breakfast to 9 a.m. Add more consistent Zone 2 sessions. Aim for 45 minutes on 4 days this week or accumulate the time. 2 25-minute sessions count. At the end of week 2, perform the press test again. Press the same spot. Note whether the tissue feels softer or still firm. Softening is a meaningful early sign because visceral fat often changes texture before size. If you notice some give where there was tightness, that's progress. Week 3 is the deepening phase. Target a 14-16 hour overnight fast if you tolerate it and aren't in a contraindicated group. Make meals count. Prioritize protein at each meal, healthy fats, and non-starchy vegetables. Keep added sugars minimal. Continue Zone 2 cardio 4 times this week. Be cautious with high-intensity intervals. For many women over 45, chronic HIIT can raise cortisol and interfere with metabolic goals. Zone 2 is the safer, more sustainable choice for mobilizing deep fat stores. Week 4 is consolidation and planning beyond the month. Keep the same eating window and cardio rhythm. Use this week to refine what you can maintain long-term, which meal timing fits your routine, which foods keep you satisfied without snacking, and whether you need to adjust cardio volume. On day 30, perform a more thorough reassessment, the press test, how your clothes fit, and how your energy and sleep feel. Remember that external changes can lag behind internal metabolic shifts. Softening often precedes visible shrinking. A realistic sample day looks like this. Morning, water on waking, a cup of black coffee or plain tea if you want it. Delay breakfast to respect your overnight fast. Midday, Balanced lunch with 25-35 grams of protein, plenty of non-starchy vegetables, a moderate portion of healthy fat. Afternoon, skip grazing. If hunger is intense, choose a protein-rich small plate rather than a sugary snack. Evening, dinner with protein, fiber, and vegetables. Finish to preserve your fasting window. Aim for consistent sleep and a calming evening routine. Cortisol control matters because chronic stress undermines metabolic progress. Troubleshooting. If you're very hungry or feel faint, add more protein and healthy fat at meals, and shorten the fasting window slightly while you adapt. If walking 45 minutes is too much, break it into 2 20-25-minute sessions and increase duration gradually. If you have diabetes, take medications, are pregnant, breastfeeding, or are frail or elderly, consult your healthcare provider before changing meal timing or exercise volume. Do not stop or change medications without medical advice. Be aware of common mistakes. Liquid calories are sneaky. Alcohol and fruit juice in particular feed the liver quickly. Chronic high-intensity exercise can backfire by raising cortisol, and crunches or liposuction won't remove visceral fat. It's an internal metabolic process, not a spot you can exercise away. How to do the squeeze test correctly. Lie on your back or stand. Locate the lower mid-abdomen above the belly button. Press gently with the fingertips and then more firmly. Subcutaneous fat feels pliable, squishy, and mobile. Visceral fat feels tense, resistant, and often causes the abdomen to project outward even when lying down. Record soft or hard, and the date so you can compare at 2 weeks and at 30 days. Safety note. Statements here are meant to guide healthy adults. They are not individualized medical advice. If you have metabolic disease, diabetes, heart conditions, or take medications that affect blood sugar, please run changes by your clinician before starting fasting or shifting meal timing. This is urgent in the sense that metabolic risk increases with visceral fat, but it's also empowering. Small, consistent changes often produce measurable internal improvements within weeks. The goal of the 30-day hormone reset. My step-by-step framework is not a miracle overnight fix. It's a realistic month that resets liver handling, stabilizes insulin, and gives you clear, trackable signs, softening at 2 weeks, better energy, and a stronger foundation for long-term change. If you want the printable 30-day checklist, sample meals, and a week-by-week tracker, download it from the link below or tell me in the comments. Type hard if your press test felt firm, or soft if it felt squishy, and I'll prioritize resources for you. Keep going. Small wins every day add up into real metabolic change.